What up, what up? This is Ray Grand, your host, and you're listening to The Ray Grand Show, where we talk about redefining a disability and overcoming. I've been paralyzed from 22 years from bacterial spinal meningitis. I know a few things. That's right. Thank you for listening, and let's get to it. Good day, people. This is Ray Grand, your host. I greatly appreciate all the listeners that have been tuning in and supporting this podcast, The Ray Grand Show. Thank you for all my supporters who contribute monthly monetarily. It means so much to you. I want to shout you out. Kirby Grandois. Make sure you check out her Instagram. She does lip gloss for women, and I'll definitely put that in the show notes. And thank you for everybody else that has been supporting this podcast and everything that I'm doing. And today we're going to talk about, habits. Hop up out the bed, turn my grand on, and I want to say what's up. I'm getting listeners. Yes, this is Ray Grand. We're going to talk about habits. Last week, we had a special guest, Josh Rucker, and we talked about exercise and the habits and being consistent on exercise. And Josh is a professional, adaptive athlete, and we're going to get into habits, and why it's so important. And we're on the fifth step of becoming the best version of yourself. And our mission is for you to show up grand, and everything you do is grand. I can do grand. You can do grand. We do grand. So let's grandois. Cha cha cha. Let's grandois. Grand do it. So let's get into it. Today we're going to talk about habit. And as always, you know, I like to define the word habit. And the definition states a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. We know, you know, and I know that habits are one of the easiest things to create and the hardest things to break. So when you know better, you do better. So today I want to talk about the 7 habits of highly effective people. This book is an incredible book written by Stephen Covey. The approach is focus on the inside out and who you are versus on what you do. And a lot of times, especially in this day and age, we focus on views and influencers versus the character, the intent of the person. So I want to walk through the 7 habits with you and give you my perspective on the habits. And I'm sure you probably heard tons of people discuss these habits. However, I believe in repetition and seeing the perspective of one from a spinal cord injury and how these habits benefited me and my success in my life. Habit 1 is proactive, and the opposite of proactive is reactive. And usually most people are in the circle of reactive because they react to things that they cannot control. And usually those things that they cannot control are people's opinions, the weather, what people think about you, the economy, other people's mistakes. Those things they cannot control. However, what can the person control is their attitude, what school they go to, who they marry, what they learn, what sports they watch, etc., etc. I hope you get the point. So think about a proactive person that wants to be the best version of themselves. What do you think they might do? They might create habits that we discussed earlier. They'll exercise, go see a therapist, go to the gym. All these things that are in that person's control, they will be proactive versus reactive, and complaining about their health when they can take the steps to take their vitamins daily. They can take the steps and walk 10 minutes a day, et cetera, et cetera. Especially, being impacted with a spinal cord injury, there's certain things that will be out of my control. However, there are still things that I can control. I can control my attitude, which is a big one. I can show up grand with a great attitude and will focus on what I do have. I have my hands, I have my mouth, I have my ears, I have my eyes. What do I have versus on what do I don't have? So let me give you an example. 2 point guards fighting for the same slot. And both of the point guards really want this spot and they both worked hard. And finally, they both do not get the position. One player says, man, that coach is really mean and doesn't know what he's doing, and they just don't like the coach. The other basketball player says, you know what? Let me go practice harder. Let me go watch some videotape. Let me go see what I can do to improve myself, to be the best version of myself. Now, do you see? Basketball player A was reactive to the situation. He complained. Basketball player B was proactive. He looked at the situation and he took responsibility on himself to be better and went back to the coach and said, hey, what can I do to improve? And that's being proactive versus reactive. Habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. Habit number 2 starts in 2 places, in your mind first and then second in reality. And usually that starts with imagination. You're thinking on where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? What is your purpose? What is your why? However, most people focus on the opposite. Material things, their jobs, things that can be obliterated if by any means, that don't necessarily stand in the test of time. So what am I saying here? I'm saying think of who do you want to impact? What are your passions? What are your things that make you say, wow, I want to be remembered for that. And I want people to say this about me. Think of the end in mind. And now you create a roadmap on how that looks like from start 1 and then all the way to the end. But however, you want to work backwards. You want to see yourself already as that person and then work backwards and have like a roadmap to get there. And how do you do this is have a mission statement. For my mission statement is to show up grand, and everything that I do, I'm the best version of myself in that particular time. And so having a roadmap is a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year plan, and thinking ahead instead of not knowing where you're going. And if you don't know where you're going, you're just going to be shooting around aimlessly pretty much. So start with your why and understand that you have value to add to this world and contribute your gifts, your talents, your time, and that value is needed. Somebody is waiting for your value, and it's very important that you give the world your value. However, some people think we're here just to make money, buy nice things, have nice clothes, cars, and houses. All those things are great and all, but that's not the reason why you're here. You're here to add value. And so I want you to start with the end in mind. Okay, now in habit 3 is put first things first. Like I said before, first things happen in your mind and then in reality. So now when it's in your mind, now let's put it on paper, have an action plan, write those things down step by step, and play by play, and the details matter. Write it out, put it on a piece of paper and map it out. Of course, it may not be definitive at first, but as you continue to plan and map it out, it will get clearer. And during this process, you'll see as you write these things out, you'll say, wow, what habits need to change, or what's important to me in my life right now. And you'll notice that the things that are important are your family, your health, your wife, your children, um, things to that nature. And so what will happen is you will adjust and make adjustments to your habits to accomplish those goals. So let me give a perfect example. So putting first things first, right? You have a goal to be a doctor and you want to be a neurosurgeon. So when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you may do is kiss your spouse, kiss your children, tell them you love them, and then you go work out. However, most of the time people say, I want to be a doctor, but then they wake up and they look at Facebook or Instagram. They're not putting first things first. I hope that you're getting an understanding that it can happen. The things that you want in your life can happen, will happen when you put first things first. And I'm not saying I've been perfect. I'm telling you, I've fallen into the habits of social media 2-3 hours. You have the iPhone that tells you and updates you how long you've been on your phone. And we all been waking up late, eating poorly, being late. Listen, I did all those things. However, once I realized what was my why and what's more important to me and started to put first thing first, then things started to change. And then I realized, wow, I have more time. I am grand. I am someone of significance. And you are someone with significance. You are someone can accomplish your goals. Like I said earlier, I can do grand, you can do grand, we can do grand. So let's grandois. Cha cha cha. And this is a perfect transition for habit number 4, which is win-win. This is pretty much self-explanatory. However, the mindset of most people is win-lose. The person wins, they receive what they want, and the other person lose. Or it would be a lose-win, which doesn't make sense to me. However, the mindset of a lot of people, someone has to lose in order for someone to win. Sort of like a basketball game. There's always going to be a loser. However, when you have the mindset, when dealing in relationships, it's a win-win. You provide a product or service, they buy or receive that service, they win with the service or product, and then you win because you delivered an excellent product or service and you receive a monetary gain and hopefully a lifetime customer. Win-win. When you think about all the habits in mind, I believe Stephen Covey put this in the process of being interdependent, meaning you need everyone to succeed, meaning the right eye needs the left eye and the toe needs the knee and the whole body needs everything in the body. The right eye says, I don't need you, left eye, or left eye, I don't need you, right eye. Well, we all need each other in that sense as a team, and we all work together, and you win, I win when we provide excellent and quality service or excellent or quality product. And that is the habit number 4, win-win. And the next habit would be habit number 5, which is seek first to understand, then to be understood. There was a great example in the book where the father couldn't understand the son. And then the father went to a friend and said, hey, my son seems not to be listening to me, and I don't understand him. And the friend said, what? I just don't understand. Because if you listen to him, then you would understand him, not the other way around. Meaning, to understand, it takes the person to silence themselves and to listen. So seek to understand, then to be understood. Like for the last habit, there's a wealth of knowledge, there's a wealth of abundance, there's a wealth of information, there's a wealth of so many things that can be shared and to be gained from. And I believe with this habit number 5, when somebody listens to understand versus listen to reply, then they will soon understand. You would think this would be common sense. However, it is quite challenging for people to listen. Most people uh, ignore, or they pretend to listen, or they'll nod their head and pretend to listen, and maybe selective hearing what they want to hear, and then quick to reply. And then you have attentive listening. So there's different type of listening, but the empathic listening, meaning empathy, and listening with your heart, seek to understand. So a great example of that would be, say your wife or girlfriend or friend says, I hate my job. Instead of saying, wow, you hate your job, maybe you should work harder, or start to give all the advice in the world because you're the greatest counselor and listener that there is. Instead, I would suggest you say something like, you're not enjoying your job and you're feeling upset about it. So what that does, it gets you and that person on the same page, the same level. And then now there's a connection there, and you're able to build trust with that particular person. Once there's trust in the conversation and the person has a logical mind and asks for advice, then give it. Until then, be an emotional support for that particular person, and not so quick to jump to advice. Because a lot of the times you'll find that people know what to do. However, they don't feel it in their heart to actually move towards what they know what to do. So they're having an inner battle, like we all have, one way or another in our lives. And we just want someone to listen to us and care and love us. We all been there, don't you think? Now, habit number 6 is synergy. And synergy is when a group of people come together and have different perspectives, ideas, suggestions, beliefs. However, instead of looking down on those perspectives or ideas, we celebrate them and we work together for a common goal. And that creates a synergy of unity for the solution that that particular group is working on to solve. Think of it like this. Have you ever worked on something by yourself? You probably got it done, but think about working with a team, how much easier and how much more you accomplish. When I think about synergy, I think about Michael Jordan, I think about LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, where they were great alone. However, Jordan needed his Pippen, Kobe needed his Shaq, LeBron James needed his counterparts, his Dwayne Wade, his Bosh. Also, he needed his coach Ty Lue to win the championships that he won. And all those great players realized that they can do more together than alone by themselves. So they found synergy, and it's really the energy and emotions combined with other people. And I believe you become best when you give. When you give your best and then someone else gives and give, it's better to give than receive. Baby. So that's my take on the synergy, if that makes sense at all, and I hope it does. And the last habit is habit number 7, which is sharpen the saw. And the perfect example that we heard time and time after again is the guy was cutting down a tree, and another guy said, hey, why don't you sharpen that thing? It's going to take 6 hours at that rate to cut that tree. And the guy said, I don't have time. I have 6 hours to get this tree down. I don't have the time. And the guy responded and said, if you spend 1 hour sharpening the saw, it would only take you 3 hours to cut the tree. You don't have time not to sharpen the saw. So this is a perfect example on how we as people tend to just want to get it done and not sharpen the saw. When the man sharpens the saw, he'll get it done a lot faster and more efficient. So this applies to us as well and in our lives. And it's broken down into 4 quadrants. And quadrant number 1 would be exercising, taking care of your body and your health and running. Because if someone doesn't take care of their health now, they'll pay for it later, which we know with the statistics, America's health and the diabetes and heart attacks, etc. Quadrant number 2 is the spiritual aspect and asking yourself, who am I? Where am I going? What is my foundation? What do I believe in? And why do I believe these things? And for me, as you all know, I'm a believer of Jesus, and that's my foundation. That's my spiritual source in my life. Quadrant number 3 is cognitive learning, reading books, learning about culture, educating yourself, reading, writing, the fundamentals of life, expanding your horizon by learning about different things that you don't believe in, and continue your education. Be a lifelong learner. That's what I would suggest, and that's what the book was referring to, is continue to learn, because you never stop learning. And the 4th quadrant is social, time with family and friends, the ones you love, relationships, being connected, being interdependent, working together. And the essence of it is relationship, having a relationship, quality relationship with those you love and those that are important to you. So I hope you liked and listened to all the 7 habits, and I want to recap the habits. So habit number 1 was be proactive. Habit number 2 is begin with the end in mind. Habit number 3, put things first. Habit number 4, think win-win. Habit number 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Habit number 6, synergy. Habit number 7, sharpen the saw. These habits will take time, and it will not happen overnight. And put these things into practice. Do your best not to just understand these things intellectually. They're very simple. However, I found mostly the simple things to learn are easy, but to apply execution is not so easy. Why is that the case? Because it takes practice, and repetition. As I continue to grow on my podcast and my communication skills, it takes time for me to invest in learning and then to apply what I learn and then to teach what I learn to you. And it's just not going to happen overnight. And so don't be afraid to make mistakes, fail fast, and you will grow, because growing is a part of life, and growing is all a part of being a human being. So when you know better, you do better. So I hope this was helpful to you greatly. Again, thank you for listening. I greatly appreciate all the support with the Ray Grant Show and all the things that you've been doing. And like I always say, remember to show up grand and continue to be the best version of yourself. Until next time, Ray Grant. Thanks for listening. If you like something that you heard, please leave a review. Oh, one more thing.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Love y'all.